Hello and welcome, Katy here. Thanks so much for joining me. Today we're going to be doing some ink smushing with some VersaFine Clair inks. And the only thing you need to do that is some isopropyl alcohol. I'm using 91%. All that means is that there's less water content in the alcohol mixture. So if you have 70%, go ahead and use that. So we're just going to get started. Now I am using a piece of Altenew watercolor paper, and I'm going to change things up a bit. There's several steps to the card that we're going to make, and I'm creating a wedding themed winter card for Imagine. And what's great about this, you're going to be able to use this for anything: birthday, winter birthday, Christmas, if you wanted to, anything like that. So I'm going to go through each thing as I get to it, and I'm trying to just find it. I've just have been testing out this Altenew hot press watercolor paper, and I really like it. It's very comparable to the others that I've used. I think it might be a little bit whiter than my Strathmore, which is another favorite of mine because it's quite affordable. Honestly, it's probably very much the same, very, very similar. This one seems a little thicker. The Altenew one does, but we're going to be letter pressing. I find that letter pressing for wedding stuff is very elegant and common. You actually see it quite a bit. Now I've got the Bali Blue, Warm Breeze, Paradise, and some Twilight. So just some of the blues in the VersaFine Clair line. And I haven't decided quite yet what of these, either the Starlite Silver, oh, actually both of these are Starlite Silver. I think one's wetter than the other, or the Delicata ink. So we'll see how we go with that. And then the press plates I'm using is this big snowflake from Pink Fresh, which looks like that. And then this new background plate from Spellbinders is the Snowfall Shimmer. I have a mild obsession with snowflakes. So whenever new ones come out, I try to pick them up. I can, of course, never get them all, but you know. So 91% isopropyl alcohol. I just put it in this bottle to have ease of use. I just pick it up at Walmart or Sam's Club, Costco, anything like that. This isn't the easiest to pour it in. So one thing, we're going to ink smush, but one thing that I found is if you pre-wet your card panel, it's a little bit easier because, watercolor paper is designed to absorb. And so I just find that I get a more ethereal look when I pre-wet. And I'm trying not to use too much, but it's okay if we do because we can use that. And I am going to kind of just shake that off a little bit because, we just want it to be saturated a little bit. Now I'm going to start with some Bali Blue, and okay, so I'm in the lower part of here, my screen here, because I want to use that alcohol that I got there. And we're just kind of layering on, just like you would ink smush with dye inks. And so it's going to be light. It's, we're going to do a few passes. For the lighter color, that one's the Bali Blue. I want to really cover all of it. And so, grab a paper towel, get my hands dried. Move some of this over here. I can work it all together. And, I'm going to keep that because we can just add to it. I'm going to add a little warm. And the reason I wanted the lightest layer all over the top there, all over the front, is because when I come in, I kind of want to keep like the corners a little bit deeper and, have the center a little bit more open. And lighter, rather. Not open, but lighter. Get that release paper out of there. So we'll dip in on the corner there, and you can kind of see, and you can, depending on how you apply your pressure, right, is going to depend on, and if you get too much, you can just add a little of that alcohol in the center there. Now, what I recommend is once you kind of have an idea like of your corners and things like that, add a little bit more there just to push that ink out. Dry it. Use a hair dryer. I don't, you know what, if you've got the, you know, a couple of the other new embossing tools that offer, I'm not plugged in, that offer the 2-speed settings, but it's kind of like you're getting a hair dryer. The Wow one comes to mind. I have that one downstairs. I actually have to craft in 2 places. So I picked up, this is my tried and true, my Wagner. And I just bought an adapter to focus the heat for my heat embossing. But that actually gets super, super, super hot. Whereas the Wow one, you know, it's good for heat embossing, but it's got 2 settings is what I'm getting at. So I like to use a hair dryer for this because I don't want to necessarily totally dry the whole panel. I just want to dry the surface, because as you put alcohol on this, of course it's going to deepen and absorb in. But by doing this, just like your dye ink smushing, you're going to be able to layer this deep in the color. Okay. Keep one side light, right? It's never a bad thing. I like that. Okay, let's come on over to this corner a little bit. Come on here. Come on the center. Kind of just keep that center. Doesn't have to be perfect, right? But it's nice to play around. Okay, so I'm just going to pick this up because we're almost dry here, and then I can have a little bit more control. All right, let's grab a little Paradise. And I think, so I did some light work, of course. I did some die cutting with some things, and the sentiment, one of the sentiments, I've got 2. I've got a die cut sentiment, and then I got a sentiment strip that I used the Twilight on. And see, and if you find that this is a little too dark, you know, you want to lighten it up, just directly add that alcohol to the panel. It's a great way to stretch your inks too, because water I don't think would work as well. It won't break the pigment ink down. You could try it, but I find I get better results with the isopropyl alcohol versus water. And I'm probably going to go back over with the Bali Blue, that very first one, the lighter. Get a little bit of that in there, just to fill in our center, get that a little bit more cohesive, so it's not like a stark. There we go. And you can kind of see when you don't have as much saturation on the panel, like I wet when it initially went down, that it really kind of sticks into that watercolor paper. So it's your preference. I just find that I like the results that I get. I think I'm going to come back in with this Warm Breeze. And then I will probably give a touch of the Twilight, because that's a nice dark blue. That way we get a little bit more. There we go. the edges a little bit. Big splotches of ink, never hurt anybody, right? Flick it on there. Now, of course, if I had any sense, I'd just get a fan brush, but I'm not going to do that. All right. Kind of move that ink around. I'm hoping I'm getting all this on here for you guys. Okay. All right, so let's throw, while our paper's still pretty wet, a little bit of Twilight on the edges. Because I really want that to blend in, so I want to make sure my adds to it. Go. I like that. Doesn't hurt my feelings, that's for sure. Okay. All right, now I'm actually going to dry this. This reminds me of the blue backgrounds from Picture Day. Okay. Yeah. I'm just going to dry this a little bit more. Now, you could set this off to the side to dry once you get it to the colors that you want, but I want to keep the video moving. Now, you'll know it's dry when it's not cold anymore. And I definitely recommend going back to in front when you're drying. That's going to keep your paper from curling as badly, warping. All right, let's get this guy open. Okay, so we're going to do 2 better pressing. And that's actually why I chose to do it this way. If you don't have better press plates, it's okay. Switch it out for an embossing folder, switch it out for, and then, for one, because I'm going to do 2 different pressings, like I said. So I'm going to do the background, all of it, with this snowflake pattern. And then this one's should go over, it's going to go over the top of that and give us, So I'm going to use 2 different colors, and I think I'm going to have to swatch it here on my finger for a minute and see, because I want the larger snowflake to stand out a little bit more. So, okay, so let's do the Delicata with the big snowflake, because we just want those to be more subtle. It's our backdrop. And I did trim this down, so it's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, I think it is. So that's why I'm really keeping these on the edge, this tape, to hold this down. Make sure that we're good here. Sometimes I get confused. All right. Okay, so like I said, if you don't have press plates, totally fine. Switch this, your backdrop, to an embossing folder. Actually, there's a shimmering one from Spellbinders. I have one I did for another video I've got coming out. That really, I love this because it's very similar to what that is, what this press plate is. So switch it out for an embossing folder. And then for your larger centerpiece that I'm going to letterpress to, just switch that out for a die cut if you've got a larger snowflake die cut. And this is going to be really light because I know that that silver on my hand was really super light. All right, let's run it through. Okay. Now what's cool about the letterpress, so it's really light, right? But you can see that because the impression that we're going to get, or that we got, rather. All right, now let's take that off. This, I really want to try to center that. This, we're going to use that Starlite silver. And this ink pad for me is super juicy, so I've got to be careful with it. But it'll be great. Should be great to give us a good impression. And the reason that I wanted to better press this, letterpress it, is because I like the fact that we can overlap them. So even though we've got that one that has covered the whole center there, this should be it's not going to pop out obviously because it's pressing in, but we should be able to see this really well, and it'll actually, it's weird, it kind of smooths out what you've done in the center. See, and you can, I don't know, maybe let me try to take this off here and show you this stuff. So if you look at this part of the snowflake, you can see that it pressed right over it, and those lines, like here, it's very subtle, but for the most part, it pressed right over it. Probably because these are a finer line. The background snowflake is a finer line that it comes through a little bit through that, but I like that. Okay, now it's kind of bringing you into my design process, and what I have in my mind doesn't always work. In fact, I think I might deepen the corners a little bit with some of this Twilight. And this is just a makeup brush, but it's super soft. I might take off some of that Delicata that we put on there, but it'll focus in on the center snowflake. All right, okay with that. And then I've got this white frame. So I'm going to show it with these because I probably should pick it up pretty good. So this is a brush metallic cardstock. It's a white brush metallic. It's the one from Spellbinders, but there's a couple different ones out there that that will work well too. The difference is this, most of them have like a gold shimmer mixed in, so when you angle it in the light you can see the gold reflect, but this one doesn't. So this is just a pure white, and I think Stardream has one. These are actually the Cerio Pearl cardstock. I do a lot of research on cardstock because I like to save money on it. But Stardream Metallic has one, and I want to say it's Pluto, but I think their shimmer is a little chunkier. And this I'm debating on. I haven't quite decided if I'm gonna do it this way. Maybe I should do it like this. No, let me try it this way. I want to just try it with the sentiment, get our fuzz off there. Because, you know, you can go as complicated as you want. Actually stamped it twice, so one wasn't quite centered. Actually, that's not bad. We don't have to, you don't have to add detail necessarily. It can be just this simple. But sometimes I like to see. Of course, you can do the other corner, just do like the corners. And like I said, you can switch this out to being a birthday card. Just using a white card base. Okay, so these pine boughs are from the Greetery. If you follow me at all, you know I'm a big fan. And I believe it's called the Pine Bough Botanica set. Yeah, Botanica Pine Boughs. And then this is their Congrats Die. And then the Wishing You Years of Happiness I took from the Sentiment Sweet Love. And there's actually a couple different ones. So you could do on your wedding day. Again, this is wedding themed for the winter. So that's why I'm going with these types of sentiments. But great for a birthday, winter birthday. Great for holiday card. You know, you could switch this out and put Merry Christmas or Peace and Joy. You know, all the good holiday or big joy in there. So there's lots of different things that you can switch this design out for the sentiment. And I think I kind of like it like this. So you can do it with or without. And I think I like it with. The frame, the skinny frame, that comes from Ellen Hudson, another big favorite of mine. I love these, and I need to message them on Amazon and see if they're going to come back out with these. But this is their essential rectangles. I also have their A1 set because I really like them. I like more for my money. All right, let me clean this. I kind of like this too because it keeps it like snowflakey, and this Congrats, just so you know, I cut it out again of that white just to top it with the brushed white. And then there's 3 layers of 100-pound white cardstock just to give this some dimension. And I think, let's get this guy on first. Oh, wait, you know what? I kind of wanted, I don't want to. I don't want to spray it, but I thought maybe we could. Give us some bigger little droplets of, this one is the Sparkle. Just a little something. Don't have to. Just a little something. Okay, so my mistake was not putting double-sided adhesive on this when I cut it, so that you just take off the release paper. So I'm going to use some On Point glue, which is clear glue. Of course, your PVA glue will dry clear also, but it's good because you'll be able to shift it to where you want it to get in place. You know, once you get the frames cut, they can be a little delicate. I might keep it without the pine bough on. Let's get all our stuff attached. And again, the smart thing would have been for these to do some double-sided adhesive. to die cut, but sometimes I'm creating these on the fly, and what I would do here with this is just wipe your finger across. That's going to get rid of any excess bubbles, so to speak. Try and stretch it from edge to edge, which makes that nice. All right, I'm going to hold this down. Give me a block. Keep my fingers out of it because they are stained blue. A piece of the watercolor paper. It's 1/8 of an inch. You could pop this up on foam, but since I have the Congrats with quite a bit of dimension, I figured I'd keep that. Simple. You can elevate it. You can add some of the, little branch elements. You can do all kinds of things, but let's keep it simple for today. Little shimmer, little impression, lots of texture. This, maybe I would switch this out. Probably to match this here, but using any type of pigment ink or anything, you'd want to clear heat emboss that. And I didn't have that upstairs, so I have to craft in 2 places. So that's why I went that route. But that's probably what I would do if I made this again or something similar. That way everything, all these whites kind of match, because of course you don't see the watercolor paper. But again, thinking out loud, links to everything that I used will be in the description box below. And I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next video.